Virginia's governor is hanging on. He might last another. Richmond, Virginia U government. Ralph Northam of, and so, here he is diminished, abandoned, condemned and still the governor of Virginia. Mr. Northam, besieged after the revelation of a racist photograph on his medical school yearbook page, may remain that way for the rest of his term, which has almost 3 more years to run. Improbable as it may seem, Mr. Northam is increasingly seen in Richmond, a state capital consumed by crisis and speculation, as a scandalized Democrat likely to hang on to his job, with his fortunes bolstered by the troubles of the men in line to succeed him, and the timing of the other scandals certainly helps him, because the spotlight is no longer solely on him, and he is not the only story in town, said Mark L. Keim, a Democrat in the Virginia House of Delegates. Mr. Keim, hours later, the State House drama with the revelation that Thomas K. Normant Jr., the Republican majority leader in the state Senate, helped edit a college yearbook that featured slurs and racist photographs, including blackface. But even before the 3 follow-up scandals, the detailed allegation of sexual assault against Mr. Fairfax, Mr. Herring's acknowledgement that he had worn blackface, and the disclosure about Mr. Normant's yearbook, collectively rattled the Virginia Capitol. Mr. Northam had already decided he would ignore his party's demands and stay in office. He is far from the first governor to try to defy legions of naysayers within his government, in the legislature, on editorial pages and on social media. Indeed, these are generally, by definition, competitive, high-achieving people who have worked incredibly hard and sacrificed a lot to get to this position in the first place, and so you could see why they would be reluctant to simply walk away, said Ross H. Garber, who has represented no fewer than 4 governors who were threatened with impeachment. Most successful politicians at high levels have had to withstand huge challenges, sometimes including scandals, to get to that position, Mr. Garber said. The instinct is to. Governors live and work in different environments than most other elected officials, surrounded by state troopers, housed in gated and guarded mansions, and insulated by large staffs, and that can fuel their willingness to defy demands for their resignations. They don't have to go to the grocery store and go shopping, and be faced with the average person coming up to them and giving them negative feedback, said Andrew Bauer, who was South Carolina's lieutenant governor during a period of political upheaval in 2009. They're able to withdraw. Mr. Fairfax, who hurried through the Capitol on Thursday morning, and Mr. Herring may not be able to pursue the same strategy as Mr. Northam, but their refusals to immediately resign offered the governor a measure of political cover. Mr. Northam, who is barred from running for re-election in 2021, has other reasons to try to stay on. The Republican Some of the governor's allies have argued that if Mr. Northam can weather the short-term frenzy, the bully pulpit of public office may offer him his surest path to redemption, and to making amends with constituents who feel betrayed. Indeed, some of the Democrats who demanded his resignation have already begun curbing the efforts to force him out, and the governor has been meeting with some of his critics. I don't think that he would have invited us if he was not remorseful, said Dr. Charles Steele Jr., the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, who had previously called for Mr. Northam's resignation but met with the governor on Wednesday at the Executive Mansion. Dr. Steele, whose organization's first president was the Revelation. Dr. Robert Bentley of Alabama to last more than a year after he was accused of sexual misconduct in Illinois, and Mark Sanford of South Carolina in 2009 but stayed through the end of his term in 2011, and was later. If you really go back and look at it in an even-keeled way, Sanford benefited from staying in office, said Mr. Bauer, who stood to succeed Mr. Sanford. Had Sanford Mr. Northam's legacy has certainly figured in his deliberations, perhaps especially because he is not expected to seek political office again. Other observers believe that Mr. Northam calculated that he would not have to wait long for the hot spotlight of public outrage to find a new target. In #culture, Northam's got to be thinking, next week, some boda's going to do something, said Jeff Smith, a former Missouri state senator who resigned on the day he pleaded guilty to 2 felony counts. It's only a matter of that may prove true. And Mr. Garber, sometimes gravity prevails, and sometimes it doesn't, he said. It depends on the
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.